Hey everyone and welcome to an Armoured Warfare video where today we're going to be checking out a premium vehicle that's been in the market before, is currently available again, and that is the KPZ-70 Tier 6 main battle tank. Now the KPZ-70 started life as a joint project between the German and US militaries trying to come up with a main battle tank for the modern age. Due to many issues ranging from, honestly, tensions still present due to it only being 18 years since the end of the Second World War, to language barriers, even down to there being problems agreeing on the measurements, whether it was going to be imperial or metric. The project was constantly having problems of one sort or another. In the end, the MPT-70, another vehicle that already appears in Armoured Warfare, was the vehicle that was eventually put into the prototype stage before the program was eventually scrapped. The KPZ-70 is the alternate vehicle to the MPT-70, which uses the German design specs rather than those that the American version had. They are essentially the same vehicle, although they do have a couple of differences. Now the main difference really is that 152mm main armament that the KPZ-70 has. It doesn't have the ability to fire the shillelagh anti-tank guided missiles that the MPT-70 does, but fires high explosive instead. It's exactly the same weapon, but it mirrors the fact that the German military didn't see the need for ATGMs to be fired from the main gun of the tank, and felt that high explosive would be more beneficial to them. In terms of the gun itself, it comes with 450mm of penetration on the AP and 425 on heat. Not quite the lowest of the tier 6 main battle tanks, but very nearly. Although it has the highest alpha damage at 620, which is going to give anything on the wrong end of it a very bad day. The problem is that you have the high damage, and that comes with its own set of problems. Long reload of 11.3 seconds means that if anyone catches you while you're reloading, or if you have a bad bounce, you could have 2 shots put into you for your 1 shot put out, which very often means that 1v1, the KPZ can easily be caught out. And honestly, that bad bounce can easily come, not only because the penetration on the rounds isn't that spectacular, but also accuracy wise, it's not particularly accurate. The deviation is close to being on a Russian T-series level, and can lead to you not being able to hit things that you really want to, especially weak spots, which is something you badly need to do because your rounds aren't punchy enough to deal with enemy targets. So while the gun isn't incredible against heavy targets like other main battle tanks, unless you get a shot into their side of the rear, what it does excel at is giving the good news to softer targets. See something like a Stingray appear, a LAV 600, anything like that? Well, swing that turret around and send 152mm of good news their direction and do some incredible damage. If you get the drop on an enemy and get the first shot off, you can actually trade shots pretty well in this thing. Something that honestly a high alpha vehicle does very well, peaking games at longer range, although sometimes the gun can decide not to play ball, but at those kind of targets, even hitting something is going to penetrate and do some serious damage, so you don't even need to worry about the accuracy too much. So we know about the gun, what about its armour? Close range style gun, long reload. The armour should be bouncy, right? So you can take fights when you're close in. Honestly, no, it's really not. Lower plate is easily penetrated even with guns a couple of tiers lower than it, same with the turret ring. And with weapons around 450 pen and above, you can actually go through to the right of the turret, there's a little box below the sight, plus along the seam of the box on the left hand side of the turret as well. So even if you get hulled down in a good position, there are still places on your turret that people can shoot, especially if you have a more accurate gun than you. Honestly, I wouldn't really try and rely on your armor too much. Still try and go hull down as often as you can, but of course, another enemy tank can just sneeze at your lower glacis and go through it, so always try to protect it. One main thing the KPZ-70 does well though is mobility. It's a trait that it shares with a lot of the German vehicles, especially the Leo line of main battle tanks. 72 km an hour as its top speed is actually close to that of the Leo 2AV, and it's quite a bit faster than a lot of similar tanks. The fact that it gets to 32 km an hour in just 3.7 seconds also means that it can fire and relocate extremely quickly, allowing you to get out of harm's way quickly if you find yourself alone on a flank, or it means even that you can exploit a gap in the line and get behind vehicles using speed. It really is surprisingly nimble and ends up playing a lot more like a light tank than a main battle tank more than anything, which is pretty amusing. It actually feels a lot like a much heavier Sheridan, to be honest, which is good because the Sheridan is a fun vehicle to play. So I guess we talked a bit about the raw stats of the vehicle, now it comes to the main part. What do these stats mean for the vehicle and do I think it's a good one? Honestly, I like the KPZ quite a bit. I have to admit, I went into it feeling like it was a proper MBT. It was going to be bouncy with a good gun, fighting from the front, and honestly I got annihilated doing that, and I got frustrated with it. However, as time went on and I got more used to it, I realised something. The KPZ should be played more like the early Leopard line vehicles, like a heavier, light tank. Once I realised that and how good it was at firing and relocating, then this thing actually started to sing. I don't much like the MBT-70. It's got a lot of the same problems the KPZ has, low pen on the gun, armour really isn't going to do anything too much, but where the KPZ can make up for it in movability, the MBT-70 simply just doesn't do that. I really liked playing with the KPZ. It feels a lot of fun just blitzing around the battlefield 70 km an hour, popping up occasionally to smash a shot into someone's side for nearly 700 damage if you're using the right ammo for the job. Honestly, because it aims fast and accelerates fast, it works so well for pop-in, pop-out fights as well, and it allows you to trade shots somewhat effectively. The KPZ is definitely a pretty solid vehicle, although, honestly, it's tough to recommend at €44 because it's in the shop right now. Honestly, it doesn't live up to that price tag. I would wait for it to be available for gold, hopefully it will come down in price a bit and then it'll be worth picking it up. The tank itself I found to be decent. It's a good little learner in PvE. I put in a lot of high damage games in this vehicle, but to be perfectly honest, wait for it to drop in price first. So I hope you enjoyed my look at the KPZ-70. I'm going to have some more tank reviews coming soon, but for now, many thanks for watching and I shall see you in the next one.